Well, good day, saints. Good to be back with you. Always good to speak about the things of the Lord, and also always great to speak about biblical theology. If you truly believe that you have the truth, it should stand up to any form of scrutiny. I just want to remind you of the words in 1 John chapter 4 verse 1, where John speaks to the Christian community, and he gives us an instruction. And he says, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into this world." Let me just pause there for a moment and say to you that the desire of these video clips is never ever in any way to defame a man, to attack his ministry, to belittle. A lot of people don't realize that when we look at Quinius Fimby, when we look at E.W. Kenyon, when we look at its influence on people like Kenneth Copeland, Kenneth E. Hagin, Daddy Hagin. So let me start off and let me just give you a little bit of an introduction as to what it means when we speak about the International New Thought Alliance. You can go Google this, you can go do your research, and you'll see quite clearly that the New Thought Alliance was in actual fact formed in 1914. And it was slowly introduced, and this type of thinking or theology was introduced into all of the rest of the world in about 1916. But let me just give you a little bit of the predicates as to what they want to do and what they are standing for. When you look at this group, you can see quite clearly that the purpose of this group is to teach the infinitude of the Supreme One, that is obviously God, the divinity of man and his infinite possibilities through the creative power of constructive thinking, and obedience to the voice of the indwelling presence, which is the source of inspiration, power, health, and prosperity. Okay, so let me give you some of the roots of this New Thought Alliance and what they believed in 1917. So at the St. Louis, this is Missouri Congress, the Alliance adopted a Declaration of Principles, and it was modified in 1919, and it was printed in the New Thought Anvil and revised in the 1950s. Now again, the principles are very straightforward, and that is simply this purpose, and these principles emphasize the immanence of God, the divine nature of man, the immediate availability of God's power to man, the spiritual character of the universe, and the fact that sin, human disorders, and human disease are basically matters of incorrect thinking. Now let me also just be very honest with you and say that many New Thought groups emphasize Jesus as a teacher and a healer, and they proclaim his kingdom as being within a person, and obviously New Thought leaders have even incorrectly and increasingly stressed the material prosperity that one can attain through this New Thought process by tuning your thoughts and declaring with your words obviously the realities that you seek. And so New Thought in and of itself is very monistic, and it obviously has a view that is dualistic, and obviously it has undertones that are vastly influenced by the potential of man and man's ability to actualize his own given realities. So it is interesting to read all of these things, and it's interesting to look at it because obviously, like I said, it definitely had some form of influence upon the acumen of what in some of these churches are being taught. So again, and let me give you another scripture maybe. In Ephesians chapter 5 verse 10 to 11, it says, "And try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them." Dr. David E. Silver cautions in his introduction to the New Testament, and I stand by this. And he says quite clearly that once authority becomes located in the teacher's alleged access to the divine, it is quite difficult to bring external objective standards to bear in evaluating their claims.